Okay, it's about 2 o'clock. Welcome everyone. Oops, gotta admit one more. Welcome everyone to MDA's Biofuel Infrastructure Grant Program webinar. It's 2 o'clock. We'll get started right on time. I just have a few housekeeping things I want to let everyone be aware of. We are using Teams in webinar mode, so everyone has their camera and mic off. I think it might be disabled for you. So if you do have questions, you can type them in the chat and we will stop once about in the middle of the webinar to answer some questions, and then we'll have some time again at the end. I think you should have seen this right when you joined, but this webinar is being recorded, so I wanted to make everyone aware of that. And those are the housekeeping items I have. So I think we can go to the next slide. Since I have the mic, I will introduce myself again with my full title. Megan Lennon, I lead the energy and environment section here at the agency. And on the webinar with me today is Courtney Vandermay and Ashley Bress. Okay, and one last housekeeping item. For those of you that are new to Teams, there's a couple of, I guess, reactions and ways to mute and unmute yourself, as well as to type in a question. So if you do have a question and you would like to ask your question rather than type it in, you can raise your hand. We can call on you and then allow you to unmute your mic, but it would just be easier if everyone could type their questions in the chat. And then you should see that at the bottom right-hand corner is a way to type in your message, and I'll be monitoring those throughout the webinar.
Perfect. Thanks, Megan. I'll kick us off. So first, just kind of where we're heading, what's going to happen. We'll go through an overview of the grant program. From there, we'll take a break in the middle, see if you have any questions on the program itself or anything we've covered so far. And then moving into the last section, we'll take a look at the grant application itself, what the applications look like and what is going to be asked of you. And then we'll have another section at the end to talk about, or if there are any more questions that we can address. We are semi-limited in our availability to answer questions because the grant application is open. If you do have something we can't answer in this webinar, we will have a Q&A that will come out later that we could potentially answer those questions. So that's kind of where we're heading. So the AGRI Biofuels Infrastructure Grant, the purpose of this grant is to increase access to and sales of motor fuel blends containing at least 15% ethanol. Eligible applicants for this program include Minnesota retailers with less than 10 locations. This includes retail service stations, convenience stores, and hypermarket fueling stations. No fleet operators are eligible, and it must be the property owner or have permission of the property owner to make improvements at the fueling site. So this grant reimburses recipients for upgrading and replacing equipment that cannot be certified for E25. Eligible projects include replacing or upgrading dispensers and tanks that cannot be certified as E25 with dispensers that can be, replacing and upgrading other equipment needed to dispense E25 or higher blends, and then also modifying E85 equipment to also be compatible with E25 if that equipment is not already compatible. One question that commonly comes up associated with this is the reinstallation of pavement or concrete over newly installed storage tanks and pipings eligible? Yes, if it is directly associated with the new installation of the new equipment, it would be eligible. But this grant would not cover, say, like the awnings or anything beyond the immediate vicinity of the intent of the program. So anything beyond that new tank that is making the equipment compatible with E25, certified for E25. Some fast facts about the program. This grant reimburses up to 65% of your eligible cost. Maximum award is $199,000 with a minimum award of $5,000. So again, grant ranges between $5,000 to $199,000 with that 65% reimbursement rate. Business plans are required for requests over $100,000 and projects must be completed within a 3-year window. I'll talk a little bit more about that, those dates associated with that 3-year window, I think on the next slide, but just be aware, must be completed within 3 years. So for this program, some important dates to remember. October 5th at 4 p.m. is the deadline to submit questions. That's our limit on being able to answer questions related to this grant program. October 12th at 4 p.m. is the deadline to submit applications. That is a hard deadline. Losing my voice. The system shuts off at 4 p.m. 2 seconds. December 1st, still can't get my voice quite here. December 1st, applicants will be notified of decisions. So after that October 12th date, these grants go into review. We have a panel of outside reviewers that are reviewing applications. That roughly takes 6 to 8 weeks to review. So we anticipate by December 1st, we'll be able to notify applicants of the decisions and then grant agreement negotiation begins. So then the next date, January 10th or roughly around January 10th is when we anticipate projects will be able to start. So projects must be purchased and paid for within that grant contract window. So we are not able to reimburse anything done prior to the grant contract agreement or after the grant contract agreement. So that's where that 3-year window is going to come into play. So projects cannot start until that January 10th date. So that's our anticipated when contracts will be signed and when that contract period begins. Again, the October 12th date is a hard deadline. You must have your application submitted by 4 p.m. Give yourself plenty of time to look at the application, plan your responses. This application will take some amount of time, so I highly encourage you to look at it before October 12th, just to be safe that everything works, and then that you can get everything submitted on time. So this is our first break for questions. I know we're only a few minutes in, but that kind of gave us some programmatic details. Are there any questions at this point? And I think either Megan or Ashley is going to field them if there has been anything submitted in the chat.
Yeah, I don't see any yet in the chat. We can just give a few minutes or a few moments. And also, if you want to ask it verbally, you can raise your hand and we can try to unmute you.
All right, we will have time at the end. So if there are any that as we go along, feel free to get and to put in the chat. We'll move on. So how to apply. The picture on your screen is a screenshot of our website. So I'm going to point out some sections that may be of interest. First, review the request for proposal. This document is a very detailed document of everything that this program requires. Who is eligible, what is eligible, dates, anything you can think of relating to this program, a lot of it's in that request for proposals. This is located under the forms and resources section of our webpage. Also, if you prefer to view the application questions before going into the actual application as a PDF, this is a good place to start, as the application questions are at the end of the request for proposal and it is a PDF version. So if you prefer to look at it in paper form prior to going into the actual application, that's an option as well. Another important section of our website is how to actually apply. There is an apply here section right above that forms and resources on the right side of the screen. Once you click that apply for the AGRI Biofuels Infrastructure Grant, you'll be asked to either log in if you've been in our system before using your email address. Otherwise, you can create an account, and we'll go into that a little bit further later, at least show that screen. Once you've created an account, you will find the AGRI Biofuels Infrastructure Grant for fiscal year 2024. There's a decent list of other grant programs, so make sure you're in the right program. I'm sure you'd find out right away if it doesn't quite fit what you were looking to apply for, but make sure you find the correct grant program because we do have quite a few open at this time. If you're having any trouble finding either of these sections on our website, feel free to call our grants line. That number is on the screen as 651-201-6500, but I believe one of my colleagues is also going to put it in chat just for ease. But feel free, if you're having any technical issues with your application getting something uploaded, you can give us a call and we'll be able to help you in that aspect. Again, I'm going to highly emphasize submit by October 12th, 2023 at 4 p.m. Again, plan early. If there's a glitch in the system, we want to make sure your application gets in. So maybe not wait till the last minute if at all possible. If you are applying for more than one station, you will submit a separate application for each station that you are applying for. So another thing to keep in mind, if you are applying for multiple sites, it may take a while to apply to fill out multiple applications. So we mentioned that request for proposals. This is the table of contents. So again, it's a decently lengthy document. Some sections I want to bring you to is the how to apply is on page 2. The project evaluation profile is on page 13, and then the questions start on page 14. I'm going to go into further detail about that project evaluation profile. So bear with me. That is a very important piece to this grant program. And there it is. So the project evaluation profile is how your application is going to be scored. So as you're filling out all the questions, I would reflect back to this document to see, you could score yourself on it of like, how are you maximizing the points to do the best possible for your project? So for example, that first section focuses on project goals and outcomes. That section is worth 20 points. Does your responses reflect that proposed outcomes of the project address the goals? Does it reflect increased access to the sales? Does your proposed outcome seem realistic for the size of your budget request? And then explain those thoroughly and in detail, fitting the needs of that section. Moving down a little bit, business readiness. Does the applicant demonstrate sound business management, financial aptitude, and stability? Does the applicant describe financial benefit to doing this grant program to their operation? Again, going through each, I'm not going to go through each bullet points. I do want to highlight work plan and timeline. Work plan timeline is worth 15 points. Is your plan thorough and realistic? Does it include your marketing efforts? Again, you can look at how many points each section is worth. That's kind of a gauge of how much details you need to provide for those type of questions. So again, like project goals and outcome, that's worth 20 points from the whole 100-point scoring rubric, maybe more than a sentence. So make sure you're providing thorough detail on your project and you're maximizing these points. Again, refer to this section of the request for proposals as you're creating your application. So applying online, this is what the login page looks like for our system. If you've applied before, you can use your email address and password. There is a forget your password section, so you could click that if you don't remember. If you still can't figure out, but you really want to use your same email address, give us a call. It's very likely we could get you logged in, but go through that forget your password avenue first and then log in from there. If you've never been in our system before, it's pretty simple to create an account. You'll click that create new account and you'll be asked some pretty basic information. From there, that's where you will find the specific grant program. Make sure you're in the biofuels grant. You don't want to be filling out an application for a completely different program. If you need further details on applying for these online grants through our system, there is an online grant application guide that I believe the link is going to be put in the chat for that guide that is shown on the screen. So now getting into some actual application questions. So we mentioned project description, that's going to be worth 20 points. There are a couple questions associated with that. But this one is provide a brief description of your project, outlining how it will increase access to and sales of E15 and higher blends. Limit this description to 1 to 3 sentences. So this one is truly just a summary of what your project's going to do. Short, simple, 1 to 3 sentences. We move into the next, or I'll talk about it a little bit later. There'll be some other questions with character limits. So say you have a character limit of 2,000, I'll talk about this again, but 2,000 is a full page. You don't necessarily need to write a full page, but make sure you're making your point clear, concise, and enough detail that you are maximizing those points. Other sections of the application look like this table here. So this one is the 2022 sales. In here, you will see gallons sold, and there'll be 2 columns. So blend type, your different blend types are in the first column. Gallons sold will be in the second column. You will fill out each corresponding number. So that number sign that's corresponded in the gallons column. If no gallons were sold of that specific blend, you will put a 0. But all fields are required. If you have any issues filling out these tables, please reach out, but they should be pretty straightforward to fill out where there is a number symbol. Similarly, it would be your anticipated sales for 2023, 2024, and 2025. So again, blend type is in that first column, and then the corresponding years are columns 2, 3, and 4. You will fill out those columns in the application. If any of those would be a 0 for your operation, you are able to put a 0 in there, but these columns will only accept numbers. Characters and letters will not be accepted. So you will get an error message if you try to put anything other than a number in there. Business readiness. So this section, again, this is where I talked about that 2,000 characters. Yes, you could write a full page, but you don't necessarily need to. Just make sure you're maximizing points, you're clear, you're answering all the questions. So this one says, summarize your ability to complete this project and the financial sustainability of your business. It wants you to describe how your business will be structured, including a brief description. Describe the financial health and cash flow of your business over the past year. How is your business planning to grow or remain competitive? And how will your proposed project financially benefit the business? So there's at least 4 bullet points that you need to discuss within this 2,000 character limit. You also have the option to upload a business readiness letter. You can upload, it must be in one upload. So if you're getting multiple letters from multiple people, you need to combine those into one file. And then again, if you have any issues with the upload, reach out to us. We are able to assist in technical aspects of this. But if you upload in one file, it should go through. So marketing and business plan. So business plan, explain how the proposed project fits into your business plan. And then for a submission over 100,000, you must submit a business plan, but this is optional for any grant request less than 100,000. But we do ask that you redact any confidential information and trade secrets from your business plan. One commonly asked question is, what should be included in your business plan? The Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development has a business plan overview available on their website that kind of gives a nice summary of what typically would be included in a business plan. So that would be just an example that could be followed. If your business includes multiple divisions and service lines that are not related to your retail fuel side, you may include just portions of your business plan that are applicable and relevant to your grant request. So keep that in mind. If you have a business that has a lot of different sections, you would just need to include the business plan for the fuel portion of your business. I want to take some time to talk about work plan and timeline. We are asking you to create a detailed work plan of how your grant, the steps included to complete your grant. For example, you might include target dates for requesting quotes, installing and testing the new equipment, and a full launch of the equipment, but there could be further details beyond those 3 examples. You have the option to fill out this text box that's included on the application or upload as an Excel or Word document. We're requesting it as an Excel or Word document and not a PDF based on if you are awarded the grant, that makes your contracting process a lot easier, speeds up that process a little bit to go smoothly. So either fill out the text box or that upload as an Excel or Word file. If you are copying and pasting anywhere, this application does accept copying and pasting into text boxes as well. If you are uploading, we just ask that you include here that you did upload the work plan, just because it is requiring something in the text box. Budget table is another important section. There's quite a few points relevant to having a budget. So we are asking you to create a budget, again, using our example format. It can also be uploaded as an Excel or Word file, but we are strongly encourage you to base your budget off of vendor quotes and market research. We do not want you to attach bid sheets instead of doing our template. Please fill out our template that is required. If specific contractors are named in your application, so in the example that we have here, we've got E25 compatible pump is our item. ABC commercial fuel pumps is our contractor. Because they're named, that will save you time in the bidding process later. So it's not required, but it definitely could be done it would save you that formal bidding process later if you are awarded. Again, if you have the option to type in the text box, or you have the option to upload. If you are uploading a budget in the text box, just type up budget uploaded, because that again is a required field. Budget narrative. Again, this one's 2,000 characters. So we want you to justify your budget, explain how you develop the budget estimates. And then this is again time to talk about if you did identify any of your vendors or contractors. Also, we want you to describe your sources for that cash match. Other state funds cannot be used as cash match. So what are your outside sources, including personal financing, other grants, private investment, personal investment, or other organizational funds? Who is making up that other, let's see, doing my math really quick. Was it 35%, 45%? Not doing good at math today. But again, this grant covers 65%. Where are you getting that other percentage? Optional documents showing project cost and ability to pay. You must upload them as one file, but there is that section to be able to upload those documents, which includes quotes or estimates from businesses or equipment services, letters of commitment from financial institutions or other organizations, also bank statements showing enough cash reserve to fund the project. So what are you planning to purchase? Where are you getting that match from? Or is kind of where the budget narrative goals are. Some simple grant writing tips. Feel free to visit our website to review the list of previous grantees. You can also contact the grantees to learn about their experience, or maybe you're writing your application. You could share a draft of your application with a friend or community member to request feedback. More sets of eyes, improve score. Again, you're trying to maximize your points in that scoring rubric that I showed you, that project evaluation profile. Read the request for proposal. Make sure you understand how the points are going to be awarded. You could score your own application in this instance of, is there any place where you could improve your points? Make sure your project is eligible. Again, it's a lengthy application. You want to make sure you're spending time on it, and make sure you have good cost estimates. Get quotes and bids from likely vendors. There is some preparation involved in applying for this grant. That's all I have.